lives are about success, and nobody gets to the top without first spending some time at the bottom. I'm Paula Howley, and this is Rock Bottom Stories. Have you ever felt trapped in a relationship? Today's guest can shed some light on getting out of an unhealthy relationship because she spent 30 years there herself. Let's find out how with your hosts, Rafiq Ahmed and Dave Ross. Rock Bottom Stories. It's something new, and it's all about you. Now, here's Rafiq and Dave with episode 1 of Rock Bottom Stories.
Thank you, Paula, for that introduction. And thank all of you for joining us today on our first episode of Rock Bottom Videos. It's good to see you. I am Dave Ross.
And I am Rafiq Ahmed. Thank you so much to all of you for your overwhelming support on our Facebook page. Dave, guess what? As we speak, we have 320 followers.
Wow. And I thought it was just you and me. That's great.
All right, Dave. Now here's the part where our viewers have been waiting for almost a week now. With all those teasers and all those messages going out, they were wondering who our guest today is going to be. So I have a question for you from our viewers. Our guest today, is she a celebrity?
No, she's not.
Oh, okay. I'm going to try again. I'm sure this one is going to be right. Is she a successful and famous businesswoman?
Well, can't really say that either.
All right. Here's the last guess. This one's got to be correct, Dave, all right? Is she a famous supermodel?
Well, she could be, but no.
All right. So why don't you just tell us, Dave, who she is?
Well, why don't we just see something about her now? Well, that's our guest for today, Cami Martin. Thank you for joining us, Cami.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well,
Thank you, Cami. And as our viewers would like to know, Cami is joining us all the way from Oklahoma, USA, where she has taken the courage to come forward and share her rock bottom story. Thank you, Cami. Thank you so much for coming forward. And it's our absolute pleasure. And I hope our viewers are looking forward to hearing your story, Cami.
Yes, thank you. I am so excited to be here.
Well, that's great. Cami, first of all, tell us about your life now. Who are you now?
Now, let's see. I am in Oklahoma, and I go around kind of pre-COVID and do some speaking engagements, and I have written a book. So I do a lot of Zoom calls right now and a lot of podcasts that have to do with the book and my story and the journey that I had.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about your journey? Where did your rock bottom story start?
I think for me, it initially started when my parents got divorced and my mom met another man and moved us to Tulsa. And that was in the middle of the 5th grade. And I think that's when everything started. And I actually hit my rock bottom probably in my senior year. So between the 5th grade and the 12th grade, I went through a lot of bullying, a lot of friends who I thought were friends that betrayed me. Even, people that I loved betrayed me. And my self-esteem was very, very low. I joke that I've been 6'2" since birth, but when you move, being in the middle, in the 5th grade, your ugly duckling stage, I like to call it, where people have known you your whole life, and then you move to where people don't know you at all. And so I was probably about 5'8" then, and that was tall, taller than anyone else. And I was awkwardly looking, and some of those pictures that showed earlier.
Hold it right there, Cami. I just thought about something. You were 5'8" in high school.
No, I was 6 foot in high school.
Wow. All right. I'm just trying to guess right now. And
Yeah.
I thought Dave was short. All right. And I thought I was tall. Dave is 5'10". Are you 5'10", Dave?
Yes, it's 5'10".
And I am 5'11", and I was thinking I was tall. Well, guess what? I think I am not even close to being tall. 6 foot. Were you a basketball player, Cami?
I did play basketball in high school, yes. In middle school and high school, yes, I played basketball. So that's why I say my joke is I've been 6'2" since birth, because I'm actually 6'2", and I hit 6 foot my junior year, and I was 6'2" by the end of my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was it that you say was that moment that brought you so low?
Like I talked about the self-esteem. So as my self-esteem went down, my mom's soon-to-be husband was not very nice to me. He might have been nice to other people, but he wasn't very nice to me. We could sit at the dinner table and not speak at all for months or weeks or whatever the case may be. So I always felt like I was in the way and unwanted. And that, adding to my whole self-esteem issue, just made me plummet until one day, before I graduated high school, it was my senior year, he told me that I needed to leave, that I wasn't welcome there anymore. So I was like thrown out of the house. All just, see you later. Here's your stuff in the street. Have a nice day. So that happened, and I did find a place. And probably a day or two after finding that place, I went to the store, which it's Albertsons, and back then they didn't have Walmart. And I'm walking the aisles of a grocery store at 3 a.m. And
were you asked to leave home, and you were given something and said, hey, here's your life, you need to move on from here? Or you just walked? I mean, they just let you walk out with nothing, with no job, with no savings, with no sense of security? I mean, I just don't understand. Your mother did not stop him?
No, and I think that she was torn, and so so she didn't know what to do. But yeah, I wound up calling my dad, and he wired me some money so I could move into an apartment and buy some essential stuff. I remember, and I don't know why the number, I remember he wired me $600, and that was to pay for my rent and to go get some groceries and whatever else that I needed.
Wow. And how old were you when this happened?
I was 18. I had just turned 18. And like I said, but I was a senior in high school. I still had a whole semester left of high school.
So,
did you
okay.
find someone, did you have someone, Cami, to lean on? I mean, I'm sure this is going to be really tough for a person who's just 18, who's not even experienced the life of being an adult, and I'm sure you didn't have a job. Was there someone that you could lean on?
I had a really good friend of mine. Her name was Jill, and I was able to talk to her, and she wound up being my roommate after I moved into this apartment, because she had graduated a year before me and she was still living at home. So we were able to become roommates for that. And so she was someone that I could lean on for that.
So how did you feel at that moment when you were just cast out. I'm
Devastated. I don't know.
devastated.
Unloved, unwanted, all the things that any 18-year-old person would feel, because it wasn't like I was a bad kid. It wasn't like I went and did something that was wrong that made him throw me out. If that was the case, then I would own up to that, but it wasn't. And so it was earth shattering. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to finish? I mean, not how am I supposed to finish high school, but making sure that I do get finished, because I think I went into a state of depression, of drinking probably, or partying, kind of, you could say, with the friends that were older than me, because I didn't know what else to do. So just getting to class, which wasn't every day, or definitely not all of the 7 classes that I was in. And it was just rough.
That's clearly, I think, a state of saying that you have hit your rock bottom. And,
oh, yeah.
and I think that's the lowest that you can go, being an 18-year-old. But this is, I think, something more intriguing for our viewers to know. How did you come out of it? How did you rise back up?
Well, it depends on how you look at that and how far that I rose. I met someone at the same time that this happened, and I thought he was the love of my life. That I met somebody who was going to love me and liked me and wanted to be around me and with me. And so that was the person that I wound up, leaning on during this time. And so I met him and we started dating.
So did this turn into a long-term relationship, or was this just a temporary connection?
It turned into a 30-year relationship.
Oh, so this was not necessarily the savior. Tell us about that relationship.
Well, yes, thinking that he was the knight in shining armor, and then finding out that he really wasn't.
When did that happen?
I didn't see that it was happening at the time. I didn't see that it was happening until years later. But when I look back on it, that's how I can find the flags that I should have seen. And the first flag, that one that everyone should see, if someone wants to change you, that's a flag. And 4 months into our relationship, I went to his house and I could tell something was off. And he was like, I'm not really happy. I really don't like you and how you act and who you are. But if you want to change those things, then we can talk about it. But if you're not willing to change any of those things, then I'm pretty much done. And I was devastated. Here was this one person that I've, trusted and opened up to and thought that I loved. And he said that I thought he loved me, but now he wants me to change. And in my mind of no self-love, no self-worth, that he would be the only person to ever love me. So I needed to make those changes so I wouldn't lose.
But why change, Cami? I mean, change could be because you had maybe some bad habits, or maybe you were going through something that was so uncomfortable for him. I mean, when you say change, what is the change that he was looking at?
It was more personality changes and control. This is where the control started happening, to where he could have control of how I acted and what I did and where I was and different things like that. So that was a whole control, and that's part of domestic abuse, is control.
Okay, so you went from a step-parent who told you there was something wrong with you to
Yes.
the love of your life, or so you thought, who said there
Right.
was something wrong with you.
Right.
And you thought there was something wrong with you. So now you've been programmed
Oh, yeah.
to accept that.
Yes. And
Well-
and to think that that's real, that is, that their reality is truth. And looking back, their perception of me, their reality was not truth, but I didn't know that. And when you're groomed to think all of these things, that's what you think is real. And, you know, you've heard the saying, it's easier to believe the bad stuff than the good stuff. Oh, heck yeah. It's way easier to believe the bad stuff. It's way easier to think that you're a bad person or an ugly person or whatever you want to put in there that's negative. It's easier to
And
believe.
how long did you actually lived believing that you're not good enough?
Probably most of my married life. We started dating in 87. We got married in 91. And in 98, we had our first child. And in 2004, we had our second. So in 98 is when I think some things started to change and it got a little bit worse. Because at the beginning, I didn't feel like it was bad, or surely I would have seen these things. I would have seen these subtle flags that I never saw. But after our kids were born, it got to be more uglier, more threatening, more meanness, more verbal abuse, more emotional abuse, and definitely financial abuse that was in there. And once that started happening in 2015 is when 2016 is when I realized what was happening. And I had eye-opening experiences.
What was some of the verbal abuse? What were some of the things that he said or ways that he exercised control in a punitive way?
Right. Well, you know, I was a very outgoing person and still am. I liked people. I like to be an extrovert. I like to be around people and different things. Since we had neighbors that would throw little neighbor get-togethers or whatever, and I always wanted to go. Well, when I would go, by the time I got back, it was, so you finally decided to come home. So you finally decided this or that. And he made it to where it wasn't worth going out. It wasn't worth going out and seeing people or having friends or doing things with people. He never told me I couldn't go, but he made it so horrible that when I came back that I didn't want to go anywhere. So, and then, you know, when someone tells you that your body, you look better, you know, with makeup, don't go anywhere. You make great before and after pictures. You have a lot of hail damage on the back of your legs. You're not very pretty. Your body's terrible. You don't have big breasts, your butt's flat, when you hear all these things over and over on a daily basis, your body image, it's nothing.
So,
Cami, I just want to take you back into just before the show, while we were having a conversation with you.
Yes.
You said something which actually caught my attention, and I was so intrigued by it, and I thought I will save it for later, and that's why I didn't ask you it immediately that time. You said your husband was a narcissist, and you said he was not diagnosed to being a narcissist.
Right,
so I was
right.
just thinking, is that like a disease?
It's a personality disorder. And so that's why I say narcissistic tendencies, because he wasn't diagnosed as a narcissist. I can't say he was a narcissist, but he had a lot of those tendencies that a socio-narcissist has. And that's, a lot of control, a lot of it's my way or the highway. Everything I say is right. Everything you say is wrong. If you don't like what I have to stand for, there's the curb. A lot of lovely verbal abuse when it comes to that.
Just out of curiosity, in this process, were there ever times where he would be nicer in order to entice the connection?
Yes. He, you could not say Jekyll and Hyde, because that's pretty drastic, but there were, not all 30 years were horrible, but I look back and I think, was that real? Did he really love me? Because when I was leaving, and keep in mind, we were together for 30 years. Mm-hmm. When I had finally made the decision to leave, he said to me, I knew this would happen. I knew you would break my heart. I gave you my heart a year ago, and I knew you would break it.
Wow.
Sorry, what?
What does that mean?
Right.
And 30 years, Cami. I mean, not 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. We're looking at a commitment of 30 years.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking from the side of your husband, but I'm just trying to be a little critical here. Mm-hmm. You walked away from a 30-year relationship, And I'm just trying, just trying to understand what you had been through in that 30 years, that you waited so long for you to come out as a survivor. And I know you have, because as we speak right now, you've already told us that you've already come out of that relationship.
Yes.
You no longer live with your husband. You've already divorced. But there is something that I would want to ask you. Maybe our viewers are thinking about this.
Yeah.
You live in a cultural society which is open. And if you had decided to walk out of your relationship maybe 1 year later or maybe 5 years later, you could have done that and you could have actually got into another relationship.
Right.
But some of our viewers who are coming from a very close cultural background, we've got viewers who are probably watching us from countries like Saudi Arabia, where a woman is tied so closely to the man that once she leaves and breaks the wedlock, that's the end for her.
Right.
All right. What do you advise as a survivor for women or men, even men probably, who are going through this situation but are stuck because of their cultural pressure?
Right.
What society is going to tell them?
So I would say that I was raised with the culture of you should care what everyone thinks of you. And that's not right. So you have to have the mindset of I am choosing myself. I'm choosing what I want and what I need, and not as selfishness, but as what I want and need so I can survive. And what anyone else thinks, I don't care, because it doesn't matter. I am what matters. And at that point, when I figured out I needed to leave, and I went and I saw some old text messages today because I had to pull some stuff up, and that a lot of that was the same, was I can't believe that you're walking out on our 30-year marriage and our 2 children and our this and this, and he's calling me names, a cold-hearted, lovely person, and just all of these things, and blaming me for everything, and because I'm the one that's leaving. Well, I was the one that was choosing myself in this situation. I was the one that's choosing to get out of all the verbal abuse, of all the emotional BS, of everything. And it didn't matter what anyone else was going to say to me, because I had many people say, well, y'all were together for 30 years. Well, you were married for 30 years. So freaking what? I don't care if I was married for 30 years or 1 year. I'm choosing me. And I want my girls to be able to see they can choose themselves. And it's okay. And they see the difference in their mom. They see the mom from 4 years ago to the mom that's today, who's healthy and happy and emotionally stable and all of these things. They see her. That's what matters.
How did that happen? You said, okay, your self-esteem was torn down. You went from a house that you weren't good enough for to a relationship that you're not good enough for. And you were told, I need to care about what everybody said. And now we have Cami here. How did you become a survivor rather than still a victim? What happened?
So when I finally saw what was happening, so I've talked about different abuse. There was financial abuse, where I was told I didn't make enough money. I needed to find another job so we could pay the bills. Not him, but I needed to, because my job sucked or whatever. And I had a great job, and I loved my job. And then I had the emotional and verbal abuse that I talked about. But it was actually the sexual abuse that came into light at the very end. And that is what opened my eyes to everything and made me see that I was a bigger and better person than what was happening. And literally, that's when I say the blinders fell off. I was able to see everything and go, oh my gosh, I am in a bad place. I am in, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. And I had some friends that were telling me things about myself, that I was a good person and I was beautiful and I was all these things happening. And I was like, what? So the two things didn't mesh. Mm-hmm. And then when I was able to look at what was happening from the outside, it made me look and go, oh, I need out. And so I went on a trip by myself. I went to make a plan to how to get out, because I know that getting out is the hardest part. And for some people, it's very physical. It's even deadly. And so I had to figure out what was right for me. and move in that direction. And once I got out, there's a whole new ball game and a whole new way of healing. And I had help with that.
I think, Tammy, the inspiration to sum it up, probably to the question that I asked you, the answer to that would be, is the courage to decide,
yes,
to choose yourself.
Yes, you have to be brave enough to choose you. And we are told in all the cultures, not just here in the United States, that as a mom and as a wife and as whatever else you want to say, we're second. And that's not true. I'm first. And I'm going to pick me so I can be the best for everyone else. And if I'm not picking me, then I'm not the best for anybody. So I matter. And I am a powerful, strong, and beautiful person. And that's what I need to remember.
Wonderful. Wow. So, all right. Is there a moment where you just kind of made that break? Did you jump out of the window? Did you punch him in the nose?
And that's what I say, that everything is different. So I said that I wanted to be separated. And his parents had an empty house. And so for me, if I could get to that house, that was getting out of my house. He still felt control because it was his parents' house. So if I could get to that one place, then I'm out. And I was never coming back. But he thought that I would be back in a few weeks. And I remember going to pick up my youngest daughter and him telling me that his parents needed the house back and I needed to be out of there by this date. That is 7 weeks. That's enough time to get myself together. Well, I'm not the one that's broken. So,
all right, Cami, there's something I wanted to show to our viewers, and I wanted you to take us through what it is that we're looking at and to let us know a little bit more to what you have in your life right now. And
okay.
I think you're the best person to answer and to lead us through this. Tell us what this is.
That is me now, minus this one picture, but that's the change in my life. So that is a man. His name is Charles, and he has helped me through so much. And a lot of us that have been in bad relationships, no matter how long they are, we're afraid to love again. We're afraid to open ourselves up. And that was me. But I had made the decision that I was going to be vulnerable no matter what, because being closed off wasn't going to help me. Being open would help me heal. And I met him and we became friends. And then we slowly started dating. And one of the things that he had me do was to choose what I wanted to do when we would go out on a date. Where do you want to go eat? What do you like? And for me, I didn't know what I liked. Anything. I didn't know what food I liked, movies I liked, what I wanted to do or anything. And so we would sit on the couch and we would not leave until I chose where we were going. And it was painful, and I had anxiety and all of these things, but I was able to finally, decide, okay, let's go eat here. And then not be afraid that he was going to get mad and yell or tell me that it was stupid or whatever, because that's not him anyway. And after a period of time, I was able to just say, okay, this is where I want to go. Let's go here and not be afraid. And he's been amazing. I call him Mr. Amazing. He's been amazing the whole way. He's helped me by being beside me in helping me walk the journey.
So
somehow I'm feeling happy, Dave. I don't know about you, but
I am too. It is amazing. You went from a place of abuse, of lack of self-worth, of feeling weak and unimportant, to a position of strength, feeling love, to becoming a speaker, a writer, and someone who encourages people wherever they are, but especially if they've been to their rock bottom.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Cami. You have shared so much with us.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
It takes a lot of courage, Cami, and we just wanted to let you know that this was all about you. And that was exactly the initiative that we had in mind when we started to think about this show. It's got to be about the people that we feature in the show. It's about your rock bottom stories. And as we say it, and most of us probably not acknowledge it, when you hit that rock bottom, the only way left to go is back up. And there you are, right back up. And thank you so much. We appreciate your courage. And those of us who'd like to know more about you, we know for a fact that you have a book.
Yes.
That has all the details in it. And Dave, I think you have the book with you right there,
It
right?
is.
Yeah.
So we can get this on Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon. It's called Watch Me, Choose Me. You can get it on Amazon, and you can also get it on my website, which is Joyous Living, JoyusLivin.
Excellent. And we'll post that on our Facebook page as the website where you can order her books and ways. And if you could, leave words of encouragement for Cami too, because she would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And our Facebook page will have this episode right there. So feel free to comment and send your warm wishes, your blessings for Cami, your love for Cami, because I know most of us there who are out there watching can relate to Cami. So if you have a message that you want to share with her, use our Facebook page right under this video, and you can leave a comment for Cami. And we will assure you that today it's Cami, and tomorrow you're waiting to listen from you, because you could have a rock bottom story that is as compelling as Cami has. Thank you so much, Cami, for being here with us on our show.
Thank you so much, Cami. Well, I want to thank all of our viewers, and of course I want to thank my partner Rafiq as well.
Right. Actually, Dave, with all this technology being in place, I realized that I've always had a Bluetooth, but I never knew I had it. So I just thought I'll share it with you and our audience. There it is.
Yes, well, we'll somehow we will survive a little Bluetooth, fingers disappearing in the sky, all of that. We'll go through all of that as long as we can hear inspiring stories like the story we heard today from Cami. These are messages that can help us.
How do we, as viewers, Dave, share our stories? Can you tell us?
Yes. Again, right on our Facebook page. Leave a message there. Tell us a little bit about your story, and we will get in touch with you, and perhaps we will be able to interview you on Rock Bottom Stories.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, all of you. And Cami, thank you once again, and I hope you have a great life up ahead. And all the best from both of us and from all our viewers joining in from the Philippines, from India, from Saudi, from Bahrain, from the US, and everyone else whom we probably don't know where you're joining from. All the best to you, Cami, and have a great life ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cami. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. Well, thank you very much again for joining us as we heard that story, a rock bottom story that we think can inspire you.
Well, those of you who think that you have a story and you want to be heard, we are listening. Today, it was Cami Martin sharing her rock bottom story to inspire you all. We'll be back with episode number 2 on the coming Saturday, same place, same time. And guess what? It could be you that will be featured on our story on episode number 2. Because let's not forget that this show is something new. And Dave?
And it's all about you.
Definitely is. Have a blessed day and see you next time.
Bye now.
Thanks for listening to Rock Bottom Stories. Do you have a rock bottom story you'd like to share with Rafiq and Dave? Visit our Facebook page, Rock Bottom Stories, and tell us about it. Don't forget to like and share our page and listen next time. I'm Paula Howley for Rock Bottom Stories. It's something new, and it's all about you.